Leading Entrepreneur Accelerator Platform Market or lead market was introduced by Bursa Malaysia into the Malaysian capital markets in the mid-2017 amidst a rather challenging economic climate. Based on the report by the World Federation of Exchanges, WFEs, and the World Bank Group's Policy Research Working Paper, stock exchanges assume that an important role in the development of the small medium enterprises or SMEs financing. Thus, having the right ecosystem is critical to ensure the success of such market. Lead market is intended to broaden the funding options available to companies that are too small or not being able to meet the criteria to be listed on the main market or its market. The market is positioned to fill the gap between the capital market and startups. It is also a platform for companies to showcase their companies. Due to the inherent risk in young companies, the lead market will only be open to investors categorized as sophisticated investors. The lead market offers private equity risk and return with public market transparency. The framework for the lead market is premised on three key guiding principles, which are cost efficiency, appropriate regulation for SMEs, and a qualified market for sophisticated investors. The launch of the lead market is a further recognition of the importance of SMEs as a main contributor to the country's gross domestic products (GDP). The lead market aims to facilitate greater access to capital market financing for SMEs to support their developmental and life cycle needs. Lead market equivalents can be found in several countries such as South Korea, Taiwan, China, and India. However, Bursa Malaysia is the first Asian stock exchange to launch such market. While SME can still choose to get listed on the ACE market, the lead markets offer several advantages. It has been formulated as a sponsor-driven market which are regulated on the light touch basis but balanced by prudential standards. Bursa Malaysia is cutting the red tape and the regulatory burden to lower the entry barrier for cost-conscious smaller businesses. For example, it only takes the approval of Bursa Malaysia and not the Securities Commission, even though the submission of an information memorandum is still required. Interestingly, entry onto the lead market is on a disclosure basis rather than a merit or approval basis. Besides, it takes only an estimated 3 to 4 weeks from lodging the application to Bursa Malaysia to get the approval from the Bursa, assuming there are no queries raised by the Bursa Malaysia. Now, how can someone invest in companies traded on the lead market? The trading of shares in the company listed on the lead market is only available to sophisticated investors. Now, what does it mean by sophisticated investors? It means that it must be a high net worth individual with at least 3 million ringgit in assets, annual income of more than RM300,000, and the husband and wife's combined annual income of more than 400,000 ringgit. And for corporates, the net asset worth or the net partnership or the net trust company must at least amount to 10 million ringgit. Now, let's talk about the requirement for SMEs to be listed on the lead market. First of all, the SME must have a clearly identifiable core businesses, a public company incorporated in Malaysia, meets the suitability assessment by an approved advisor, and a 10% public shareholding spread at the point of admission only. Now, what is the catch or the value proposition of the lead market for players? Well, for SMEs, there will be an alternative platform to raise funds, obviously, facilitate rules and regulations and lower cost of compliance, enhance visibility and profiling, and early exposure to prepare for potential listing for ACE or main market. Meanwhile, for sophisticated investors, there will be greater price discovery and transparency, capitalize on the potential of lead market company, ease and early flexibility of divestment of investment, and access to a wider pool of investment. Well, as I mentioned earlier, lead market was only established in the mid-2017, or to be exact, in July 2017. Hence, at this point in time, there are only 5 companies listed in the lead markets. Among the companies are the Quadrant Group Berhad, Bright Ideas Holding Berhad, JM Education Berhad, Metro Healthcare Berhad, and the Nova Pharma Solutions Berhad. Before I end this, let me stress out once again that lead markets opens up exciting opportunities for SMEs which are in need for funds to grow, raise public awareness, and start its journey towards the ACE and main market, as well as for investors seeking to participate in the growth of emerging companies. Thank you for listening.